Hi, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I wanted to just play a little bit with these two decks, and so I just thought I'd come and do it on video, and if it works out, obviously I will use it. If it doesn't, I won't have to, but I thought, well, I'm going to play a little bit, so I might as well turn the camera on. I still need to do the edges of this. Actually, I might sit down and do that tonight. I might be wanting a little bit of a warmer tone than the vintage linen. I guess that's why I haven't quite done this yet. But this is the Wooden Tarot, along with by the same artist, the Earthbound Oracle. And I do apologize for Isabel in the background. She keeps finding things. So I'm doing this reading for somebody who is really struggling right now with a lot of anxiety and stress and some panic. They are taking care of things all in the usual and referred ways in which you should be. So this is just kind of touching bases on the sort of internal or energetic areas as well, just to have some help in that area. Now, none of the things that may be contributing to anxiety or anything that is new. I think that that's part of the frustration, that there isn't, anything new that can be pinpointed. It's just, sometimes we work ourselves energetically into a kind of snowball effect, and we're not sleeping well, and we're not eating well, and everything just snowballs. So she's taking care of all of the kind of healthier eating, trying to get her sleeping under control, taking some supplements, these kinds of things, doing all the things that needs, that are good and healthy to be done, and seeing somebody who can help just in terms of counseling and that sort of thing. So this is purely to just sort of look at things energetically. I just was giving that a good shuffle, because why not? But I'm going to start with the Earthbound Oracle. Again, I'm just kind of playing here with these decks. This I use all the time and I adore it, but I just kind of wanted to play with it in conjunction with the Wooden Tarot, which is obviously, made by the same person, and I think in a sense kind of made to go together. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will, but I'd like to give them a go. So I'm going to do a 9 card. And I love what just came up for the middle card, which is generally kind of the key situation when I don't pick a significator. And this is about the mind, which is certainly the case. We have the Sun up here in the position of also a very thematic position of a 9 card. So I love that that showed up, because there is that sense of happiness and contentment. Actually, I'm going to fill the corners in. Sorry. Let's just go ahead and fill these. Look at the sun and the moon. How wonderful is that? So I love what we have up here at the top. Here we have, well, let's first, again, there's no question that this air in the middle is very significant to the problem, because I think that the problem definitely is, and she would be the first to say, there's just so much going on in her head that as soon as she has any time to be alone, her brain just goes into high gear. And it's just not a pretty picture when it does. So that's not, there's no question there. When we look to the corners, we have happiness and wisdom, and needing to be creative and needing to dig deep, right? These aren't Lenormand cards, but I kind of look at my 9 card spreads in similar ways, just to kind of get a feel for things. We have time and perseverance bringing us movement, and this is transformative movement for me. We have the butterfly here for transformation. I know these say travel. I don't necessarily think that means pack up your bags and go somewhere, because that's simply not feasible. That would be an easy fix if she could do that. But that's about transformation. That is about movement. And I love that we have vision underneath the air, right? We have that sense of true vision and getting through into the deeper insights, really going to closing your eyes and seeing through to the truth of the matter. Because the stuff that's on the surface doesn't seem to be making sense as to why there's so much anxiety being generated. And so that, goes to say, okay, well, we know, we know all these things on the surface. Now we really need to dig deep and see, really, that really seeing, and that's combined with wisdom and with the moon on this side. Of course, tonight is a full moon, which makes that even more wonderful, because so underneath here, we really have this deep sense of really needing to work on the inner self, really dig into the subconscious, that all of the surface stuff that she knows is there, again, and she can, tell you forward and backward. There's a ton of stuff on the surface that, makes sense as to, the being stressed out and these kinds of things. But what's really the cause is underneath, and needing to dig deep, see the truth, and sort of gain wisdom from that knowledge. So I love how that's showing up below there. I also love this on either side. We have both the sense of time, right? That sort of lastingness. We have seems like the moon and the sun and the cycles, and the understanding that time goes on, and that sometimes we just need to kind of get through things. Which, I'm kind of, since I had that one reading with the mountain in the Earth Magic deck, I'm really thinking about that sense of endurance, because there is a lot to her situation that does just have to be endured. That is just kind of part of the process. It's part of the cycles of life. It's part of yeah, that's all I can say. Again, being careful not to give away personal information. So there is that sense there are some things that simply need to be endured, but at the same time, conversely, there is that sense of movement and change and transformation, and still, not being stuck. Understanding that there's some things that need to be endured, but still being able to move forward, just transformation with all of this deepness that we have down here, that is really, with all of this deepness down here, that is really speaking about, with all this deepness down here, that is really speaking about the underlying issues. This stuff maybe this can't be changed, but there are some internal personal issues that can be worked on, that can head her in the direction of transformation, even while standing still. Does that make sense? We can travel while standing still. We can have transformation even while enduring and needing to hold the course in one way. Internally, we can be moving forward and working and doing the hard work, so that when some of the outer things clear themselves up and change, we're in a position to then, really move forward when we can. So I think that that's beautiful here. I love that the perseverance is showing up, that sometimes, sometimes happiness isn't instant lottery wins. Sometimes it is about perseverance and getting really creative. And I think that there are some ways in which the use of time needs to be starting to think in creative ways, because there are, in some ways, not enough time, and in other ways, there are other aspects, there is too much time. And so that I think is where this creativity is cropping in, because there is that sense of, while at one time, one aspect, we need to persevere through the chaos, when there is the feeling of too much time and too much periods of quiet, on other hand, we need to get creative about how, she needs to get creative about how she uses that time, so that she's not using that time to snowball into anxiety and things like that. And again, I personally know that this is somebody that I know personally, and so I know that they are seeking all avenues of help. I don't do readings, entirely based on health. If somebody needs to see a physician, they need to see a physician. If someone needs to see a therapist, they need to see a therapist. And all the other things that need to be addressed are being addressed. So I'm just simply looking at the other aspects. This is in the other category. So when I'm going to pull cards here for air, and I don't know why I just flipped it over that way, because I don't generally pull cards, but I'm just going to go with it. So we have air and fire. Sorry about my phone. Earth and water. And then I'm going to pull, well, I'll do that in a minute. I guess we'll split correctly for that. So I love this, that we have death in the mind, right? There needs to be an ending. We have air, we have the mental problem, not mental problems, that's not what I meant. She'll get a kick out of that. We have the sense of the mind kind of running out of control as a central issue. That does not take a psychic, which I am not, to know that there's definitely too much going on in the mind that needs to be cut down. So I love that the death shows up in the air, because there is, again, it's an ending of something. Okay, it's enough. It's that sense of, okay, this is enough. We got to shut the brain off, in all the ways that she's, going through to manage to do that. She needs to shut some of that off because it's time for a new day. So it's that sense of, yes, something is ending, but it needs to end. We need to cut the brain part off so that we can move into the new day aspect. I love how we still have the sun coming up over here. And so I just quite love how that has shown up. We also have in the position of, this is interesting to me, because in the position, and it shows up by creativity, but in the position of fire, which is her creativity, her passion, how she expresses those things, we have the Hermit. And I don't personally, because again, this is somebody that I know quite well and have done a lot of readings for. This person, this is the wand energy, is the energy that she does not express the most. She is an extraordinarily earth energy person, and she knows, and there have been periods in which she has taken up something creative to help with her time and to have something to express herself creatively, and it is a positive things when she does it, but it's the first thing that gets let go of when things get chaotic. And so I know that traditionally the Hermit is obviously a good thing. You're kind of going off to find yourself, and that is the aspect is there as well. But the first thing I thought when I saw that is that sort of, she's in hibernation because of this little bear all wrapped up like this. So it sense that her creative and her passionate energies are in hibernation. And so it's almost like the Hermit is gone off and it's taken too long to come back, and it's gone into sleep mode. And so I definitely get the understanding there. That needs to be reawakened. That needs to be shifted from hibernation to a kind of going inward and figuring out how to best express and give life to that part of herself. So that, because that is always shows up in her readings as being key, and she knows it too. And she's very good at knowing, sometimes the card's going to say the same things over and over again because you haven't heard the message or done something about the message. Then in the position of Earth, we have the Page of Stones. Now, you would think that the stones, it would be Earth, right? But this, the pentacles, but stones are actually you have to think red fire. These are the wand energy. So I love this. There's that double sense. Well, yes, she's a very hard worker. She works very hard. She's very much, again, her birth chart is one of the probably as heaviest earth based charts I've ever read. She's very much that way, but we have that sense of newness and following a passion within the Pentacle suit. This does quite make sense because she is going to be going back to school that will help her in the terms of her job and resources, But at the same time, this can also be a way for her to use her mind and use something that she's excited and passionate about that we see in the Wands that I think can really help her in transformative way with this current situation that's going on. Just emotionally and energetically. So I think that's wonderful that that showed up there. In the suit of water, we have the Page of Bones. So this is the earth energy. And I think this is beautiful because right now the emotions in the mind are kind of running amok, and so that needing to ground, it's, you know, needing to find stability and grounding again is exactly what she needs, because there's too much, you know, it's create too much again, those are kind of running off into just running loose and not in a positive way. And so there is that message there of needing to take those emotions and ground it in. We need to cut the chaos out of the mind. We need to ground the emotions. Like, it seems to be very, very clear energy showing up there. So then I want these split beautifully the way that I split. Can I just say that much? I wanted to pick a card on either side. Oh, now I did leave the happy squirrel here so I'm doing strengths and weaknesses. And so here this is just crazy. Yeah, I'm really loving this deck, shall I just say. I've been playing with it. I haven't done it for any clients because I haven't yet felt confident to. I'm getting very close to that. But it is, it's got a beautiful energy to it. I have left this in just as I've been playing with it. I don't know that I will keep it in here for good, but as I've been playing around with it, I have left it in. But I do quite like this squirrel because we have this squirrel. This is a strength. And this is a squirrel sitting on a giant acorn. So this is, to me, speaks to her strength, which is that of groundedness, of being prepared, of being responsible. So I really do love that this looks like that little squirrel Nutkin who didn't get resources. This is the little squirrel that did, prepare themselves for winter and did do all the things that they need to do. This is somebody who is very for this particular reading, because again, I know this person. This just speaks to me of her because it speaks to somebody who has, is so responsible and is so, kind of making sure that all of their resources are set and that they are stable as they can be. It's just the brain and the emotions right now that are out of whack, but her stability and her strength is in her constancy and her trustworthiness and her hard work, extraordinarily hard work. So I love that showed up as her strength. But then in the weakness position, we have the 10 of Swords. Now, this is again about the mind. All these swords in the mind, all these things that are just, it's killing her. Her brain is overwhelming her and it's just killing her. And it also, on the same token, is like the Death card in terms of something needs to go. Something needs to be let go of because it's not serving her any good right now. And that is to do with the mind itself. So I think that's beautiful to show up in the position of the weakness, and we see the stability here on the position of the strength. So I just think that's quite beautiful. I just wanted to do this quickly for her, and B, just kind of test doing things out this way with these two decks together. I have already done the walkthrough of this, but I wanted to work with it a little bit more before I finished up the walkthrough. So I'm going to go ahead and pick these up. So I'm going to go ahead now and kind of wrap that up. So I have done the walkthrough of this, and I just had wanted to spend a little bit time with it before I finished the walkthrough, so that I could have a little bit, again, I haven't used this to read for clients, but I have played with this quite a bit. And I have to say that I feel like it reads so beautifully, and very powerful. Look at those cards. Very powerfully. The stones did throw me off a little bit at first because I just think I think it should have been crystals. I think it should have been Queen of Crystals. And it would have gone, I think, connected quicker with the fire energy. But, you know, because they are red crystals, it doesn't take much to kind of get over that. But at first that was a little bit confusing. I happen to really love the multiple eyes that show up in this deck. I find it to be quite beautiful. I love this imagery, like here for the 3 of blooms, which would be cups. We don't have 3 people, but we have these 3 beautiful flowers growing together. Again, with the 9, I mean, there is just such a beautiful resonance. Look at that. That's a period of kind of rest, because they almost look more like autumn leaves than they do actual rose petals. So yeah, it's very subtle, but it's a beautiful, subtle power, but at the same time, it can be very much blunt energy. It's not the same energy as the Wild Unknown to me. To me, this is just a really... I don't know. That's what comes to mind. It's a very subtle, deep, resonating kind of power to this deck. Look at, I mean, that's just beautiful. It sometimes takes, when you lay the cards down, to just sit for a minute and let the kind of emotive aspect of it come to light, and then start digging into the mental aspect, because it kind of has a very visceral feeling sometimes. There's a visceral reaction to laying the cards down, and then after you sit with that for a little while, then you kind of move forward into the mental aspect of kind of working your way through the reading, if that makes sense. So I really am glad that this deck came to me so wonderfully. And it's interesting because this deck, which is the Oracle aspect, is actually much more of a blunt energy. They're both similar, obviously in feel, in terms of look. It's the same artist, the same kind of background. This energy is very different. This is very blunt to me, very clear, very beautiful, but doesn't pull any kind of punches at all. Not that this pulls punches, but this again is a very visceral, very deep feeling deck to me. There is a quietness to this deck that is soothing, at the same time as it can be a little bit unsettling, because I feel like it's just kind of a plumbing into the depths, so to speak. I've got some cards upside down there, but so that's the best way I can explain it at this point. And so there we have it. This has been a look at the beautiful wooden tarot, and I hope that you have enjoyed this review.